Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Watching the Boxes Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by #basketball.com, your number one place for fantasy basketball on the entire internet. Go check out #basketball.com today if you haven't already. I don't even know how you haven't checked them out already. I mean, they've been sponsoring the show for a very long time. Unless you're a first listener, you guys probably should have already went to #basketball.com. I'm your host, Mike Catron, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Tyler Watts. What's up, Tyler?
Michael, another great day.
Yo, it's free agency. Shit is crazy. Shit's wild. NBA Twitter on fire. Woj bombs. I lost a leg in a Woj bomb car explosion. That seems too graphic. It's been wild, man. It's been a crazy, I don't even know if it's been 24 hours, to be honest. And I don't even know what to do with myself. There's so much to talk about. There's a lot going on. There's still a lot to be had in this free agency. And we had to get something out. We had to get a podcast out. And there's no way we can talk about everything, Tyler, but we can talk about some of our favorite moves in this, this first 24 hours, the day one moves, some of our favorite moves. We're going to break down really all the moves at some point during the off season, but we wanted to get something out there right now for all the listeners out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was just crazy. I think the moving it up to 6 helped. I think the relaxing of the tampering helped, right? Like some of these guys had deals before they could even have a talk to these teams, which didn't make any sense to me, but what do I know? I mean, I swear Woj tweeted out 6 deals, 6 o'clock in 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, they were already locked and loaded. Like Kyrie was going to Brooklyn, period. Like that was done.
Well, Durant did his decision right at 6. I mean, all these, it just was crazy to me how fast it happened. I mean, they were mentioning on NBA TV today when I was watching that, Shaq didn't sign with the Lakers until July 18th, right? How much things have sped up in the last 20, 25 years.
Well, I mean, you want to own the news cycle. You want to get your name out there. Marketing is a lot different these days. I get it. You know who doesn't give two shits about any of that? The board man. Kawhi Leonard is like, I'll take some calls maybe later this week, perhaps. Well, all right, cool, man.
Yeah, what was crazy though was so the MLB released the rest of their All-Stars, and all I saw on pretty much anything was NBA free agency stuff. It got totally just swept under the rug.
What's the MLB, man? What are you talking about?
Just thought that was funny. The MLB probably mad that the NBA moved up their free agency.
So nobody can recognize Bryce Harper, who I believe is a person who plays baseball. No one can recognize these people on the street.
Bryce Harper not an All-Star this year. Philly fans blowing up about that.
Tyler, you're really frustrating everybody. Just me by talking about baseball at all during NBA and fantasy basketball's free agency. How dare you? Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm just telling you what I hear.
All right. Well, you are indeed a man of all fantasy sports, and I cannot believe you follow fantasy baseball. That is an accountant's game, and I don't have the wherewithal nor the Excel skills to thrive in that, nor the attention span. That's why basketball, I'm staying in my lane, and we want to stay right in fantasy basketball lane for this first day of free agency and go with. I think we want to go with either maybe just do a quick roundup of something maybe the top 5, either most fantasy impactful or maybe just most interesting overall. There's no. I don't think we're gonna have a real
Okay, now peek behind the curtain here. Let's not try to sugarcoat this. These are the 5 things Mike wanted to talk about.
These are the things I want to talk about. I didn't really care about anything else.
So this is what we're going to talk about.
Why are you gonna call me out like that?
Well, because I think that the D'Angelo Russell thing was probably way better than like at least half the things you wanted to talk about on your list.
That's not true. All right, you know what, Tyler? I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to do this for you. We'll talk about D'Angelo Russell's insane, out of nowhere, later in the night move to the Golden State Warriors. Where the hell did that come from?
Well, I mean, it was the only move the Warriors could have made. So why would the Warriors, who have proven to be one of the best organizations in the NBA, not make the move, right? Because they're cap strapped at this point. So the only move they could make would be a sign and trade when Kevin Durant decided to leave and head to Brooklyn. So obviously the only player worth getting back is D'Angelo Russell. So they did that. It was absolutely insane.
Incredible snag. Like absolutely out of nowhere, incredible snag. D'Angelo Russell will be, he's 23. He's going to be 24 sometime next season. He breakout year for him. We talked about him, I believe, in our or we will talk about him in our top 60 roundup that we are doing to go back and look at the rankings of these players from last season before next season starts. How does this affect his fantasy value, and does it affect the fantasy value of anybody else on the Warriors?
So he will turn 24 in February, if that was the question you were asking. D'Angelo Russell, I mean, well, the Warriors are going to be without Kevin Durant now, right? They're going to be without Klay Thompson all next year because he tore his ACL. He did sign a 5-year maximum deal to return to Golden State, but he's not going to play at all. I can't imagine. He tore his ACL in the playoffs. Usually takes a good full year to recover from an ACL, so maybe he plays, at the very end of the season or maybe in the playoffs, but I would not expect to see him for any meaningful fantasy. Like if it's a redraft league, I would not draft Klay Thompson.
No. He's is he going to play like a month, if that? Is he even going to be back for the playoffs?
I honestly think if he comes back, it'll be like right near the end of the regular season, playing like 15, 20 minutes, and then he might play in the playoffs where he's, a little bit more impactful, a little bit more Klay Thompson-esque.
Not interested.
So don't draft him. If it's a redraft league, don't draft Klay Thompson. That the D'Angelo Russell move didn't have much to do with that. The Warriors are now to the point too where they're obviously they're studs and not a ton else. Like they're probably not bringing back DeMarcus Cousins. Although DeMarcus Cousins has not made his free agency decision yet. So I honestly think Russell's going to be fine. Like him and Curry are going to split those ball handling duties a little bit. I think Russell, you're going to see him score a ton, right? He's got to take over that kind of Kevin Durant workload. Draymond Green's not going to score a lot. And they're not going to have anybody else. Like Kevon Looney's probably going to be their starting center. They just got him back on a multi-year deal.
I mean, I think this is all positive. I don't think he's going to be in a better system. He's going to have guys, at least Steph Curry around him, who demands the other team's best defender, which for a perimeter defender, which in the past has been on D'Angelo. So like that's a super positive as well. He'll probably at least get a minute or two more playing time, which is super positive. And he broke out last year. I don't know why his game would change too awful much. His usage might go down a little bit. His overall stats might take a slight hit. And since he is kind of in that, second, third tier range, a slight hit could drop him in ranking. But ranking really isn't terribly important if you're producing about the same amount. And there's going to be times where he's going to be asked to basically carry the team. Steph Curry is not going to be able to carry that team the entire year. Steph Curry's spent a decent amount of time out injured here and there over the last couple seasons.
So here's a crazy thought. I actually think he may score more on the Golden State Warriors next season than he even scored in Brooklyn. The Warriors got to replace 40 points a game, man.
He's certainly going to be a lot more open.
And
That's positive.
I will go on record as saying, Steph Curry could shoot back into that top player in fantasy range. I mean, obviously, D'Angelo Russell's not going to quite be able to space the floor like Klay Thompson did in that first year. But to say D'Angelo Russell is, not an above-average three-point shooter, I think is a fallacy. He's going to get plenty of open looks. I think him and Steph Curry are both going to be fantastic on the Warriors next season for fantasy. I'm pretty excited about this move for D'Angelo Russell's value. I don't know that I really want to take him in that second round, but I could see him being, a kind of a third, fourth round player. For me,
I don't know. I mean, his usage was pretty high last year. I don't know if I expect a big upturn, but I think like if you're taking him,
I think you can just see more efficiency though. Which
late second, early third. All right, cool. All right.
You know what I mean? When you're shooting 18.7 shots a game, which he shot last year in Brooklyn, and I don't see those shots really going anywhere. And now maybe he hits 45% because Steph Curry's getting him a little more open.
Hey, yeah, it's all positive. If not, it's a wash. Like the worst case scenario is he's about as good as he was last year. And I also feel, with Steph Curry taking over that team, it depends on how they're going to approach this season. If they're going to sit him down the stretch, if they care about making the playoffs, do they not care about making the playoffs? How that's all going to go. That doesn't allow me to put Steph Curry as the number one player. There's going to be stretches next season where Steph Curry is the number one player in fantasy.
I think
at least a month or so. I still don't know how you don't take Hart number one, but yeah, Steph Curry is going to be a great fantasy player next year.
I think they made this move to try to win another championship.
Yeah,
whether they can do that or not, right? They're going to push to make the playoffs, and they're going to push hard. And I think they're going to ask a lot of Russell and Curry next season. They obviously traded Andre Iguodala to get Russell, so he won't be back to be the sixth man.
I think it's exciting that they're wanting to go for it instead of just, hey, let's just take a year off. We'll see what happens, blah, blah, blah. No. We're going to bring in this 23-year-old. We are going to keep moving this franchise forward. Who cares what else is going on? So I think that's fantastic. It was easily the biggest surprise of yesterday for sure. And hey, it's all positive news, I think, for everybody involved in the trade. Well, not everybody involved in the trade. I guess the people who went to Brooklyn, they'll be playing behind Kyrie Irving and a bunch of other randoms. So not the best thing for those guys. But
I think the Brooklyn Nets should change their nickname to Kyrie Irving and a bunch of other randoms. I think that would be a good fit for them.
I mean, that is basically what they are. And actually, that is one of the trades that, or I guess free agency signings that we wanted to talk about is the big one. Where was KD going to go? Where was Kyrie going to go? Kyrie, we all kind of knew he was going to Brooklyn. KD, big question mark. Would they have gone to the Knicks if KD was healthy? Who knows? But it turns out KD, Kyrie both going to Brooklyn, and so is DeAndre Jordan for some reason. And that's where things get interesting from a fantasy perspective. Because KD, he's going to be out all next year. Don't care. Kyrie, chances are he's going to do a bunch of Kyrie stuff. He's going to be as Kyrie as he ever has been. Maybe even more Kyrie than he ever has been. And take that for however you want to spend that in your own flat world mind. DeAndre Jordan, how did you get in the car? Who let you in this building? Why is he there? What is going on? And are they aware that Jared Allen is on the team?
Yeah, and so this was the weirdest thing for me about it. I get DeAndre Jordan's buddies with those guys, and actually both took a little bit less money so he could sign there and get $10 million a season.
No, they were all boys. That's cool. That's cool. I'm okay with that. That's cool. I mean, so DeAndre's got a lot of money. I don't know why he needs
but that's cool. So, and we saw
more,
we saw DeAndre Jordan. He's played over 30 minutes a game every season until last season. He was playing over 31 minutes a game for the Mavericks. He got traded to the Knicks in that Kristaps Porzingis deal, and the Knicks played him 25.9 minutes a game. Jared Allen, a guy I talk about a lot, who, whether it's fouls or whatever, he still only played 26.2 minutes a game. The problem with that is It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out 26 plus 25 is 51 minutes, and there are not that many minutes in an NBA game, Michael.
Not the last time I checked.
So someone's minutes are going down.
Boo! No one is a fan of. Well, I don't care if fucking DeAndre Jordan's minutes go down, but Jarrett Allen, a nice young prospect with good fantasy potential, playing less minutes than he played last year. Why would I be a fan of that at all?
So Jarrett Allen has played 1% of his career minutes as a power forward, according to Basketball Reference. And DeAndre Jordan has played 2% of his minutes as a power forward.
More than I... Are you sure that wasn't just like a scorer's error?
No, there was actually a season in 2009, 2010, where DeAndre Jordan played 28% of his minutes as a power forward, according to Basketball Reference. Surprising.
That seems...
Over the last... Well, since the 2015 season, he has played 100%, 100%, 100%, 100%, 100% at center. So take that for what it's worth. He's played 100% of his minutes in each of the last 5 seasons as a center. Jarrett Allen played 100% of his minutes as a center last season. I don't really see these two playing together. I think maybe because DeAndre Jordan is boys with them, he could probably play 25 minutes a game, and that could mean Jarrett Allen loses 3 minutes, which is not great.
And he wasn't playing a lot anyway. And, I mean, he should... I mean, I think they will maybe try to slide him in at the 4. I don't know why, but, like, they need someone to play the 4. Like, I don't even know who their 4 is going to be. Did they sign anyone that I've forgotten about already? Like, there's been a lot of signings today. But is, like, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson still on the team?
Rondae Hollis-Jefferson was going to be a restricted free agent, and they had to renounce his rights to make the other deals.
Okay, so he's gone.
They lost Ed Davis.
Yeah, I know they lost Ed Davis.
They can obviously sign someone on a minimum deal, whether that'll happen or not.
Okay, so they don't have a 4 at all.
Well, I mean, obviously they're going to probably try to play, some guys down a little bit and kind of go small ball. Because I still just don't see how you're going to, like, it's the whole Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis thing. Like, how many minutes are you really going to be able to play these two together and not get toasted by somebody running out Kawhi Leonard as their power forward? Like, which one of these guys is guarding Kawhi Leonard? Or LeBron James or, 50,000 other people?
Nobody. So... this is a mess, and it's bad news for Jarrett Allen. I think Jarrett Allen, to me, was the guy I would was definitely keeping an eye on, depending on how far he fell in a draft. I know he's kind of a name people like, but at some point I was going to draft Jarrett Allen, maybe in those later rounds, and now I don't even know if that's worth it.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, right? One of Jarrett Allen's big things is he's a big-time rebounder. If he's going to play minutes with DeAndre Jordan,
who DeAndre Jordan loves letting other people get rebounds, don't you know?
Yeah, right. I mean, there was the whole meme about him stealing the rebound from Luka Doncic, and
he's only the only person worse than DeAndre Jordan at stealing rebounds. Actually, 2 people is probably Drummond and Westbrook.
But, I mean, I think the negative part here is they both are going to lose some value, right? Like, we've seen that, I mean, DeAndre Jordan got his free throws up to 70% last season. He actually shot better with the Knicks than he did with the Mavericks. And we were talking about how crazy it was that he was making most of his free throws with the Mavericks. And then he went to New York and he shot 77%. So maybe DeAndre's fixed his free throw ails, and he was looking like a player that you could grab. And I mean, he averaged 13.1 rebounds a game last year. He averaged over a block. He averaged 11 points. Like, those are all really good numbers. And if we saw Jordan go to the right situation, you were getting kind of excited about drafting DeAndre Jordan again, despite him. He's only going to be 31 years old. He turns 31 in July 21st.
Still an elite rebounder.
Right.
Only and you know, game, which is lame, but he's a high percentage on low volume shots. And if his free throw isn't going to be murderer's row like it used to be, that was a good fantasy player.
That's what I mean. So they kind of killed each other here, which is disappointing for fantasy. I mean, I think both should obviously still be drafted in a standard league, but
Yeah, but
there's limited upside now on both too, which is the worry here, right? Like they're both going to be picked relatively high, and they either want, and I mean, unless one gets injured and misses the whole season, like there's not much upside for either guy now. So yeah, I mean, I'm just probably not going to be in love, and it all depends on where the ADP falls on both guys. But I'm probably not going to be in love with either man.
That's fair. Neither am I. Like, I don't think I'm taking Jared Allen in a league, actually. Like, I don't think I'd take in a standard league. Maybe late, maybe super late, maybe with the last pick, but nah. I mean, he doesn't interest me anymore. DeAndre, I've never been a fan of him because I play in Rotos leagues, 9-cat Roto leagues. So, you know how people feel about him in Roto leagues. So I probably won't own either one of these guys.
I will be watching in the preseason, though. I will be watching his free throw percentage.
Yeah, I'll be interested in what happens.
And obviously we'll only get 4 preseason games, but if he's making them still, that's a big boost to his value, and so that'll be something to monitor, I guess.
So, anything about the rest of this Brooklyn team? There's still a lot of pieces to fall, right? So I'm not sure we really want to get into that, but Kyrie, no worries there. In my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie's going to be Kyrie. I think he's probably a second round pick.
Yeah, solid second tier player.
Yeah, I mean he's going to do his thing, and I think the rest of it we're probably better off just waiting on figuring out what we actually are going to see, and which pieces we're not going to see, and go from there.
All right. Well, we'll get into that once the pieces fall into place. We'll be doing all 30 teams previews before the season starts next year, along with a bunch of mock drafts and a whole slew of other nonsense that we got planned for you guys in the lead up to next season. But it's still a long summer, and free agency, is barely started. And as we know, Kyrie leaving Boston, but that means an opening for Kemba Walker, and more importantly, in my opinion, Enes Kanter coming to Boston. I was just thinking about after Al Horford left Boston. Who is there any centers on this team? Who are the centers on this team? Like who's?
Well, they got rid of Aaron Baines too.
Yeah,
so.
Aaron Baines got shipped to God knows where. Al Horford said sayonara to the horrible people of Boston. That's right, I said it. And is Daniel Theus still on the team?
Yes.
Okay.
He is a free agent, though, I believe, restricted free agent.
Okay.
I was assuming they're going to bring him back.
He's in our phrase. I was like, what's going on here? Who's going to even rebound? Who's playing center on this team? Jason Tatum? So Enes Kanter in Boston basically has the starting job. I'm at this point anyway in free agency, I am very, very, very excited about that, as I am excited about Kemba Walker going to a team where there's actually talented human beings around him who play the game of basketball that will further enhance Kemba Walker's game.
So here's the what do I want to say? Here's the crazy stat that we've seen. Since Brad Stevens joined the Celtics, the point guard has shot the ball with some crazy efficiency. And the big knock on Kemba Walker's game has always been he's not that efficient, right? And this goes back to Isaiah Thomas had that crazy year under Brad Stevens where he was, some people wanted him to be the MVP, right? It
was legitimately a historic year. Like what he did that year was legit historic. It was incredible.
So here's the other thing, right? So Kyrie Irving, 6 seasons for the Cavaliers, right? He shot 45.7% from the field. In his 2 seasons with Boston, 48.9%.
Interesting.
Right? And then, you throw the Isaiah Thomas one on that. Like, Brad Stevens has a history of his point guards upping their efficiency from the field significantly.
Very interesting. I love everything I'm hearing from you, Tyler. So
Kimba, that's something to definitely
Kimba already a fantastic player to draft.
That's what I mean. Now gets a little bit better offense, a little bit better efficiency. Could see a few more assists. I wouldn't be surprised by that.
I would think so, considering that the people on his team will now be able to make the ball when he passes in the ball. Do you think he'll shoot 20 field goals a game like he did last year?
I mean, Kyrie Irving shot 18 and a half.
All right, so somewhere in that range, right?
Right. So, we might see a little dip there, but if the efficiency's going up and, he's giving out a few more dimes, it all comes out in the wash, right? I'm pretty excited about Kemba in Boston. I am pretty okay with taking Kemba in that late second, early third round. I feel really good about him, on the Celtics.
Yeah, once you get through that, you get your 1A, 1B tier, and then the beginning of that second tier where the turn starts. He starts moving closer to me for that middle second round. He starts moving in that range depending on who's available because of that little bit of a bump. And of course, Enes Kanter, if he's gonna be the only center in town. We all know what Enes Kanter can do when he plays like 30-some minutes a game. He's just like
we've seen
20 and 20. Like he's a lunatic.
That's what I mean. In 25 minutes a game, we've seen Enes Kanter be a top 50 player. So I gotta feel good about him right now. He's getting that 25 minutes a game and being a pretty damn close to a top 50 player. So yeah, sign me up for some Enes Kanter.
Yeah, I'd keep an eye on him. I assume unless you're playing with a lot of fantasy. I wouldn't say experts, but people who play fantasy are well wrapped into fantasy basketball. Chances are Enes Kanter isn't going to be ranked terribly high in most preseason rankings, and you should be able to get him at a great value in those later rounds. So if he's available, snag him right up because he could easily be finishing the top 50 if he's playing starters minutes for sure.
Yeah, and the best part is he doesn't even really. I mean, I wouldn't say 25 minutes a game is even starters minutes, and he's been. I mean, that season with the Knicks where he played 25.8 minutes a game and averaged 11 and 14 on some crazy efficiency was, a top 50 season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I definitely had him on a few of my teams, and I enjoyed that season. I missed that season just a little bit.
You yearn for that. I yearn for that season.
I yearn for another. I yearn for a good, strong, sturdy Enes Kanter in my life. I adore his beautiful face and his 20 rebounds a game. But we'll have to see what plays out in Boston because we don't know if they're going to end up signing or trading or doing anything to get a center that might start or share minutes with Enes Kanter. So we'll see. Probably, if you're Boston, probably not the best case scenario of Enes Kanter being your starting center, going from Al Horford to Enes Kanter. There's a little bit of a defensive difference between those two players, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. And like I said, we'll be doing team previews later this season, and we'll be talking about that when it happens. But really, the move of free agency came from, I guess, this Kemba Boston connection. That's right, Tyler. I'm talking about the best player on the Charlotte Hornets, the guy that they will announce last when they are saying the lineups at the home games, Terry Rozier.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
What in the hell is going on in Charlotte?
So call him cheap, call him whatever you want, right? Michael Jordan didn't want to pay the luxury tax.
Yeah,
and you can't really.
That's from Jerry Reinsdorf, I believe.
Well, but you can't really blame him on a team that they made the playoffs. What, 2 out of Kemba Walker's 6 seasons, 8 seasons? However, they made the playoffs.
No, I think I can blame him because up until just I think a handful of hours ago, earlier today, I had forgotten that Kemba Walker was only $12 million a year.
Oh yeah, well they wasted all that money on this player and that player and another player, and we can talk about the
terrible team around him, this absolutely awful team around him. If you're going to blow it up and let it all shit away, which Michael Jordan
Well,
obviously has.
I mean,
How are
they
you
signed Biombo, and then did he even play the year after they signed him?
I
Like
don't even think he played the year they did sign him.
that's what I mean. It's like he was playing like 15 minutes a game when they gave him this huge contract. Like they've made so many mistakes there.
No, like
but
there's so many idiots out there, these owners of these teams. You couldn't have somehow gotten anything back for a $12 million Kemba Walker. I mean, Danny Ainge was going to give 3 first-round draft picks for Justice Winslow. Like you couldn't have got 1 first-round draft pick for Kemba Walker. You couldn't have got Chris Dunn for Kemba Walker. Like, figure it out, man. You let him walk, and then you paid Terry Rozier, like what, 58 million, 59 million over 3 years? It's insane.
well, and are they giving Boston some picks too to let them get Rozier because they're capped out.
They must be.
So the only way they can make that is a sign and trade. So it's a sign and trade for Kemba and Terry Rozier. So that'd be interesting to see what the final details of that look like.
That is absurd.
So here's Ed. I'll say this about the fantasy angle here. Terry Rozier, I guarantee some guys are going to be super hot on him. I mentioned that stat about Brad Stevens upping the efficiency of his point guard shooting.
Yeah.
That doesn't really work out for Terry Rozier, who's a career 38% shooter from the field.
Let's imagine that Terry Rozier's field goal percentage was bumped by playing in that system. Now what are you looking at when he is the only player on Charlotte and he's going to have to take more shots than 8, and he's going to shoot worse than that?
He's going to be the number 1 option, which means he's going to draw more defensive attention.
He's not going to be playing against second teams. He's not going to be playing with players around him who make him better.
So
what's going to, seriously, 35 minutes a game, what does his stats look like, though? Like, what does that look like?
I mean,
7% shooting, under 70, definitely under 80 free throw percentage. So probably 75, 74 is
probably like 77 if I had to guess.
Was he like 14 points, 6 assists, 3 assists? I don't even know. Like, I can't even picture it.
Yeah, and so there's some people getting super hyped here. So I'll read you his per 36-minute stat line from last season as a 24-year-old. Are you ready for this?
I'm not excited, but I'm ready.
14.2 points, 6.2 rebounds, 4.6 assists, 1.4 steals, 2.4 three-pointers made, and 0.4 blocks if you really want to know that.
Are you making those up, or is that how terrible Rozier is?
So for people who are like, yeah, he's going to be the number 1 option, and we've seen him have a triple-double, and he had a couple good games there where he was the
Celtics. He played well in a maybe a playoff game once, I think.
So yeah, I'm not buying him as a top 50 player.
I'm not drafting him. I mean, I would draft him if he was the last player left in the league.
But here's the crazy part too. Like, you're gonna have to not care about your field goal percentage at all. Like, I can't imagine the field goal percentage is gonna go up tremendously.
The volume certainly is, though.
In a worse system, that's what I mean. He's gonna shoot a ton. He's gonna be in a worse offensive system by all accounts. He's gonna have worse players around him. He's going to. Yeah, I mean, I'm scared. Okay.
It just doesn't go any good way. It doesn't go any good way. There's just I don't know how to salvage this as anything to look forward to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I think this is one of the best players to nominate in an auction draft coming up next year. My favorite thing to do, if you've never done an auction draft, I would suggest you doing one. Is when you're nominating, you want to get money off the board. You don't want to bid on someone you actually like. You want to take money off the board. Well, especially if you live in the New England area, or hell, maybe even you live in Charlotte.
Oh no,
Throw
man.
out Terry Rozier. Throw him out there. Put him at $1 and see what happens.
Read anybody's winners from day one of free agency, especially for fantasy article. A lot of the big sites that put them out. You can Google it. I'm sure find it. Terry Rozier gets mentioned. He's gonna be a point guard, starting point guard. Like
he is. He is gonna be a starting point guard.
Those are facts.
That is true.
If you're drafting this guy even in the top 75, I mean, I guess if you're just caring about the counting stats, right? Like if you're gonna punt both percentages and be like, I'm gonna go for counting stats, he should average probably over a steal, probably like 1.2 steals. He might get you like 5-6 assists. He might get you like 5 rebounds, and he might get you like 14, 15 points. Those are all good numbers, but it's going to come on a really bad field goal percentage. And I don't know, sometimes I think even when we're punting categories, like you don't really want the absolute worst guy in that category. He's going to be one of the worst field goal percentage contributors next season, I believe, because it's going to be high volume on very bad percentage.
Yeah, I think if you're in a roto league, I don't even know how you approach it. I think if you're in a head-to-head league, you gotta really not care or have like really weird balancing act going on. I just don't know. Like I think he's obviously going to put up better counting stats across the board, but that's just due to volume and usage and necessity. Like it's not going to be as exciting as everyone's going to make it. So take everything that you're reading or seeing with rankings with a grain of salt, or whatever you're seeing on Twitter, because you're not seeing it on my Twitter at Watch the Boxes or on Tyler's Twitter, Tyler at Tyler P. Watts. We will not be tweeting at Terry Rozier is a base god anytime soon. That will not be happening. Promise you that. But I do want to talk about the team that made out the best this free agency, Tyler. Number one team that made out, and now I'm talking about the Chicago Bulls not doing anything stupid. That is where the bar is set for the Chicago Bulls and the morons that are Garpax. The bar is set at didn't do something stupid. And while the Thad Young signing is confusing, it is not stupid. He's a very good player. It's a decent contract. Don't really need him on the team. And we already have 2 young guys who should start over him. But
I hated that deal for Thad Young, though.
Great player.
He's, I love to snag him in fantasy leagues, and now I don't know, man. Can I snag him? Because you got to figure he's not going to play that many minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's the issue, because we both are big fans of Thad Young. Always ends up in like top 75. Always ends up with like a steal and a half a game, and you're like, oh yeah, I just got like a steal and a half a game here in the 10th round. Thanks everybody, you idiots! Like you go ahead and draft. I don't know. Who are some of these really? Go ahead and draft JaMychal Green. I will be taking Thad Young. Like that's how these drafts usually work. Thad Young is usually one of the best sleepers in the entire draft. He's not going to start. He's not going to start over either one of these young guys. He's going to probably play like 25 minutes a game.
That's what I mean. Unless they're going to play him as a small forward, which is not. But it's the Bulls.
Is Otto Porter going to play at the 2 and Zach going to play at the 1? I'm interested in that lineup actually, because I need to see something like literally anything that looks like basketball in Chicago. That'd be great.
That's what I mean. Like I don't know. I didn't love that move for the Bulls or for Thad Young. I thought Thad Young. I mean, I get it. Thad Young. It was probably the biggest offer Thad was getting. So
it's certainly the biggest offer that Thad Young was getting, which makes you go, well, who are they bidding against? What is this about? But I do like Thad's professionalism, maturity, and skill on a team that desperately needs any of those things. And fantasy-wise, though, I think this kind of this might knock Thad Young to the waiver wire.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be in line to really pick him now. I mean, I just don't see any way he gets the necessary. I mean, he needs like 30 minutes a game. I just don't really see how he gets that. I don't see that path to minutes unless one of those guys is injured. So
yeah, don't say stuff like that. Come on,
Well,
they were both injured last year, so it's certainly a possibility. But yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not loving that. What are your thoughts on this other move here that you want to talk about?
So their other move here, I thought was great. A lot of people had the Bulls pegged to take Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon, who is a very, very good role player on a championship team, going for over $20 million a year. Yeah, not. I don't care how efficient this dude is. Over $20 million a year at 26, when you're a great role player on a great team. Not terribly interested in seeing the Chicago Bulls try to build their team around Malcolm Brogdon's above averageness, I guess. I mean, Malcolm Brogdon, that contract's going to look terrible in like 3 years when at least 5 dudes from the last draft class, this draft class, or the next draft class are better than him, and they're not making $20 million. It was to me, the Bulls being cheap worked out very well, and half the time it does, because Thomas Satoransky is basically 70% Malcolm Brogdon, but was worth half the price. So I'm a big fan of Thomas Satoransky. He's actually 27. He's only a year older than Brogdon, and I actually think this is going to go well for Thomas Satoransky, even for fantasy value. And this is why, because there is no starting guard. There's no starting point guard on this team. Kobe White, it's bad news for Kobe White. It's bad news for Chris Dunn. And it's not the best news for Thomas Satoransky. Thomas Satoransky played 27 minutes last year. He ended up in the top 140.
Yeah, I mean, 5 assists, 3.5 rebounds, over a steal. Didn't score a lot. He shot really well from three. He's a 40% shooter for his career. He just doesn't really have that many attempts. Yeah, if you're going to tell me Satoransky's going to run out there for like 32 minutes a game, he's probably a standard league relevant guy.
He's definitely a standard league relevant guy if he's going to play 30. Chris Dunn's probably going to have to move in order for that to happen. I think that's actually semi-likely because Thomas Satoransky is the only actual point guard on this team. We talked about Kobe White. He's more of a combo guard in a previous podcast. Kobe White is going to be great, perhaps a point guard of the future, but he's more of a combo guard. Satoransky's the only person on this team who can run the team. I think at some point in the season, maybe not the whole entire season, Satoransky is playing starters minutes, and that'll be a good time to stream him, which I think is better than what was going on in Washington.
Yeah, I'm even fine with taking kind of a late round flyer on Satoransky. Like, I don't remember if it was on NBA TV or if it was on the Jump. I listened to both today. They were saying that basically, if you're Chris Dunn or Chris Dunn's agent, like you've got to be asking for a trade at this point, right? Like you got to figure they're going to play Kobe White. They just signed Satoransky. You got to figure they're going to want to play him. How many minutes is that going to leave for Chris Dunn? That's up in the air at this point. I don't mind Satoransky. I think he's a low upside player though, in the sense that like he's not gonna somehow score 15 points a game. He's not gonna like get you 7 assists. I don't really think. I think he's probably gonna be like 6. I think he's just gonna produce a lot of okay numbers, but nothing that's like, oh man, I gotta have him for this.
Yeah, this is not like finally he's going to play like 34 minutes and go back to, what was it, 2 seasons ago, where he was playing legit fantasy basketball, and he was like, I think he ended up in like the top 70, 60 for a little bit. That's not what's going to happen here unless this logjam frees up a little bit. And even then, I think he's going to be fantasy value worthy. I guess fantasy valuable is probably the right word I'm looking for. He will be a waiver wire player who will be owned off and on throughout the season, and if not, permanently owned at some point if he becomes a full-time starting point guard.
Yeah, just I guess even if he's getting like the lion's share of the minutes, I don't think he's a top, like he maybe could squeak in the top 50, but I'm probably betting against that. Even like he's probably like a 60, 70 player, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I hope that happens. That'd be great. That'd be good news for me. It'd be good news for the Bulls. Let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's talk about a team that we all love. It's one of the smartest teams in the league. A team that made a lot of really, really good moves. Talking about the New York Knicks, who for some reason signed Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, and Taj Gibson. I love the fact that the New York Knicks they like to pay Thibodeau era Bulls players after the Bulls are done paying them. I like that the Knicks are like, yeah, we'll give you a bunch of money. Who cares? They're still paying Joakim Noah, I'm pretty sure. They paid Derrick Rose for a while. I'm excited to see what former Bull they pay next. I'm very, very excited. So I will definitely be going to that Knicks Bulls game when they come to town. See our old friend punching Bobby Portis and one of the most underrated players, legitimately in the league, Taj Gibson.
Well, and they signed Wayne Ellington, right? And they're professional players, right? They're guys who played in the league. They're guys who have NBA skills. I really didn't get the whole Randall Portis Gibson thing because they all play the same position and who's going to handle the ball, right? We're just going to give it to RJ Barrett and hope he can do the thing. And then even still, like, who's going to be a guard for the New York Knicks next season? Like, we're just going to play Alonzo Trier and, whatever cast of characters we played last year, Frank Ntilikina. And, yeah, this Knicks team, man, they just made some wild moves, some interesting moves, some moves I wouldn't have made. I don't really got much else to say about it. As far as fantasy value, like, Randall should be good. Randall should play. I don't love the fact that they signed, they gave him all that money and then signed two other guys that basically play his position.
That's really weird, strange, very Nixonian, I guess.
Yeah, because, right, Mitchell Robinson's going to play minutes in there too, so now you got 4 guys for the 96 minutes with the front court. I don't know that I love a lot of those pairings of like Randall and Portis together on the court. Like, aren't they going to get absolutely cooked?
Yeah, like Mitchell and Randall sounds fun.
So and then I guess you could play Taj Gibson at center with Bobby Portis in the second unit, or whatever you can.
Maybe, yeah. This is utterly confusing. Nobody knows what's going on. The Knicks still might be one of the worst fantasy teams of all of the entire league. I guess Charlotte probably took their spot now. At least, RJ Barrett is worth probably a late round pick, right? Julius Randle, you would think his minutes will be safe on this team, and he's a great fantasy player to have. And then Mitch Rob is a block phenom. Not much else going on in this team.
Yeah, right. And who knows how the minutes are going to shake out now.
If Julius Randle's minutes are like back down to like 27? Like, what the hell?
They muddied the water there, which was not what you like to see. Like, you heard about that Randle signing and you thought for fantasy, like, all right, he averaged 20 points a game last season. That was good. And, he's going to get a big opportunity in New York. And then they throw Bobby Portis and Taj Gibson on top of it. And you're just kind of left scratching your head going, well, that's a Knicks move.
Yeah.
And they all got relatively big money. Like, Portis got 2 years, $31 million.
Yeah, he got that money. I actually think the Bulls offered him either that or slightly more at one point, and Bobby was like, "Nah, man, I'm betting on myself." It's like, thanks for betting on yourself. You saved the Bulls from their own stupidity.
That's what I mean. And then Gibson got $20 million, and Randall got $63. So you got to figure their
money tied up in your power forward.
That's what I mean. So you got to figure they're planning on playing them all decent minutes, and they're going to plan on playing them together in some way, shape, or form. Like, yeah, punt on this one.
It's absolutely incredible that the Knicks are this bad, and they struck out. And they didn't even get Boogie. I thought they would get Boogie. They might get Boogie. I guess Boogie's still available, right? But
that's what I mean. But give the money to a guard, man. Like, you don't
give the money to Boogie Cousins. Who cares? Do a 1 year.
Well, and that's the other thing too. I mean, like they're all 2-year deals, so they didn't like absolutely kill themselves. And you know, some of these deals we might find out, you know, it's like a 1-and-1 with a player option. I mean, they're still in the early stages, and it's worth mentioning. Like as we're talking, no deal has actually been officially signed. Like guys can still back out. We've seen it happen in the past.
And a couple of these
we actually just saw it yesterday,
might
right?
be tradable, right? So some of these contracts might be tradable.
Nerlens Noel reportedly signed one and then backed out, and then I guess today he then did sign it with the Thunder.
Yo, Nerlens Noel, get a new agent, my man. What's going on with you?
So yeah, so none of this is actually like set in stone, and we don't know the like actual specifics of some of these deals. I mean, I guess the Knicks are trying to keep that cap space available, which makes sense, but it's like, why throw so much money at some of these guys who, yeah, just don't really. I mean, it's a puzzle. You got to make the pieces fit together. You can't just take 3 pieces from 3 different puzzles and jam them together and go, oh, this is going to work out.
No, not at all. Well, maybe not Justin, but I think I saw this earlier. They are team options for that second year, and Knicks, at least the Knicks didn't shoot themselves too many times in the foot, just a few times. So good for them.
Yeah, and then okay, so they're going to run out 1 year. They're not going to be good. They know they're not going to be good. They're going to, you know, try to be salvageable and go back at it again next year. But you know, how many times can you go at it and miss? I mean, like that we talked about this a little bit with the Mavericks, right? Well, at least the Mavericks got a couple young pieces now where, you know, guys might want to come because they have Porzingis and they have Luka Doncic, right? Like, how many times can you just run it back and go, oh, we're not getting anyone. Oh, well, next year we will. Next year we will. Next year we will.
Apparently, infinity is the answer for anyone who is a Knicks fan. I feel bad for you, kind of. I guess I don't know. I mean, you guys do kind of dicks when you show up to the United Center, so I don't feel that bad for you, Knicks fans. Sorry, too bad for you. There's a lot more free agency coming very, very soon. I mean, we still don't know where Kawhi's going. We still don't know where Boogie's going. We still don't know where a lot of people are going. Is that Jimmy Butler trade to the Heat? Is it official? We don't. Did they find another? Are they going to do? Is Portland for sure? Are they not for sure? Like, so there's still a lot of stuff in the air.
They made that deal official.
That.
Well, not official, but they made that deal. Just so you know, Mo Harkless got thrown into the Clippers, and Hassan Whiteside went to Portland. Jimmy Butler went to Miami, and Josh Richardson went to Philly.
Brilliant. We're going to have to actually might need a whole podcast just to break that one down, especially the whole part where Jimmy wanted out of Minnesota because he wanted to win, and then he was like one shot away from perhaps the NBA Finals, but then leaves Philly to go to Miami. What? So that whole sequence of events doesn't make any sense, let alone the fantasy fallout from all that. So we're going to talk about that, plus a lot more in a bunch of probably episodes that we have to do about free agency, because this just keeps getting crazier and crazier. We're going to break down all of the moves coming up with free agency. We're also going to be doing some mock drafts. We're going to be doing 30 team previews in the future. A lot of stuff coming up. And if you're interested in hearing something specific, maybe it's about keeper leagues, maybe it's about rookie dynasty draft. Guess what? We did a rookie dynasty draft. You can find it on our Patreon at patreon.com/watchingtheboxes.
A special treat. I got a special treat for anyone who's listened this long.
Yeah. Ooh, what is it?
You ready for this?
Yes.
I have already a favorite last round pick.
Wow. Let me hear it.
Do you want to guess who it is?
I'm going to steal it. Derrick Rose.
No. Damn. I don't think he'll be a last round pick.
Oh.
From a little bit of what I heard, that they basically made that signing and they're going to play him just as much, if not more, than Reggie Jackson. So I think they'll be in on Mr. Derrick Rose next season.
Return 4.0, baby.
This is a man who's often forgot about, and it is Mr. Seth Curry. Signed a deal to go to the Mavericks. We saw in 2016, 2017 when he played for the Mavericks that he ranked 83rd in 8 category leagues and 82nd in 9 category leagues. The dude is maybe the best 3-point shooter in the NBA. That sounds crazy, I know, but he hit 45% last season. The Mavericks shot the 4th most 3-pointers in the NBA last season. They hit the 27th. They were 27th in 3-point percentage. So not good, right? He's going to play shooting guard. They don't really have a great shooting guard option. I mean, they got Tim Hardaway Jr. I could see the Mavericks kind of just doubling down because he's making 3-point shots and Tim Hardaway Jr. isn't. Throw Tim Hardaway Jr. in more as a 6th man. Let Curry just spot up and hit lots of 3-pointers. Probably going to play him more than the 29 minutes per game they played him in that 2016-2017 season. If he gets more than those 29 minutes, he could easily be a top 75 player. And I guarantee no one will be hot on him. He'll probably be a last-round pick in the standard league.
Yeah, I don't think after last year where he was actually a few people's last-round pick, and he was kind of a bust. I think people are going to be out on him. And so that's a good one. I like that, Tyler. I'm not there yet. It's a little too early for me, but I like the fact that you are already on board. Tyler, where can people find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Tyler P. Watts.
And you can find me at Watch the Boxes. If you guys have any feedback, stuff you want to hear, tweet at us. We'll be happy to provide it. And we'll be back with more free agency. Enjoy, everybody.